Hi, my name is Alex and I'm your guide in the outbound sales world. Today I'd like to talk about email follow-ups because I'll get a lot of questions about follow-ups. Do we need to do them, and how many follow-ups should I send, and so on. So I'd like to cover everything in this short video. So let's start from the very beginning. First of all, not everyone knows what follow-ups are and why we actually need them. So when we do cold outreach, we send one initial email through our software that automates the sending. And for example, I have an initial email saying, hi, name, I address a pain point, I tell them how I can solve this pain point, and then I have a low friction CTA call to action when I ask them if they are interested so that they can easily say yes or no. So I'm sending this first email, and then what I do is I'm waiting for a response. And in most cases, you don't get a response. And there might be really a lot of reasons why you didn't get a response. And one of the reasons could be that the person was just super busy. Maybe the person opened the email when they were on the go, grabbing a coffee, or maybe they were on a meeting and they didn't have the time to respond. Or maybe they're just swamped with tasks today and they actually are interested in your offer or just to talk, but they didn't have the chance to respond. And then, as you know, there will be a lot of other people sending cold emails, the inbox will be swamped, and then they forget about it. So this is why we follow up with the person in a few days to kind of remind about the initial email and if they are interested, so that they get a chance to respond to our email. Now, one thing you shouldn't do at all is writing follow-ups and saying something like, why didn't you answer? Did you see my email? And so on, especially if you know that they have opened your email several times and haven't responded. So don't do that. You don't want to make the prospect feel bad. That's not a good start for a relationship. Secondly, what a lot of people do is they write follow-ups saying, hey, just bumping it up in your inbox, just following up. This is kind of annoying and a lot of people don't like them, so I don't recommend to do it. So basically, it is important to write follow-up emails because that increases the chances of getting an answer. And based on my experience, because I always analyze the results, compare them among different industries, different approaches, and so on. And I can say that in average, you get half of the responses that you get are coming from follow-ups. Of course, the further you go, like if you are writing the 6th follow-up, most of the responses would be just unsubscribe. So you have to get a good feeling of your audience, how many emails you should send, and how long the span, the delays between email 1 and email 2 should be. And before you get a good feeling about your audience, I can share some best practices that I'm applying when I'm starting out with a new customer and we don't know the ICP very well yet. So what I do is we do the first initial email, and then we have the second email, and usually I do 3 follow-ups, and I will talk about how many follow-ups you should send and what you can leverage for your follow-ups in a minute. But right now I want to talk about the delays. There are 2 things I look at when I decide how long the delay should be between 2 emails. The first one is the email text of the first email and the second email. For example, if my first email is giving just a little bit of information and the second email adds up to this information, for example, I'm saying in my first email, I helped business ABC to save 50K per month because I did this and this. And then in my second email, I want to share a short video explaining how I did it. So it kind of adds up to the first email. And with this context, I leave the delay not too long. So I leave it short. I leave it 1 day or 2 days, and then keep going with my follow-ups. Now, if I'm doing, for example, I am approaching one pain point in my first email, then I'm doing this follow-up with my second email, sending the video, and then I have a third email that approaches a completely different follow-up. So I have, for example, I have two main pain points that I'm solving. I'm approaching the first one with the first email, then the second email is my follow-up with the video, and the third email, okay, maybe that's not too relevant for this prospect, I want to try the other pain point. And this, like in my head, it starts a new thread of emails, and there I would put a bigger delay. I could add a delay of 5 to 7 days. Keep in mind that in most email tools, the weekends don't count. So if you set 5 days, that's going to be a whole week, like 5 days, and then Saturday and Sunday, and then it's going to be like the 6th day when the tool is sending those emails. And when you're starting kind of a new thread, with your follow-ups, what you can also do is you could add a new subject line. Basically, when we send our first email, we add one subject line, and then in our follow-up we keep the subject line empty to come everything in one email thread in your inbox. So basically, if I have a conversation with you in Gmail or in Outlook, I open only one email and then I see the whole conversation, like this whole chain in one window. I don't need to open every single message as a separate email. So if I leave the subject line blank, it's going to be in one email thread. If I add a new subject line, let's say in follow-up 3, then it's going to be a separate thread. And I only recommend to do it when you don't write a message in context to your previous messages, and if you think that you have a completely new approach. And then based on that, I would distribute the follow-ups, and the further you go, the bigger would be the delay between emails. And if you just want to start out and you don't have a good idea about how your templates are performing or how you're approaching it, I think the best standard delays are first email, then 2 or 3 days delay, second email, and then 5 days delay, and then third email. I think that's the easiest setup that everyone should start with. Have one initial email and at least 2 follow-ups. Now the next question would be, how many follow-ups should I send, and where is this thin line of annoying people or just following up to get the responses? First of all, my approach is there is no like standard number that you should use or like best practices that works for everyone. Really, in my experience, every single situation is unique and different, and you need to adjust according to your audience, to your offer, to your business model, and so on. So my answer is, do as many follow-ups as you can, as long as you can add some value in your follow-ups. So basically, without doing this, bumping it up in your inbox, you will have a limited amount of follow-ups. And here's my advice on what you can use for your follow-ups. When I'm sitting down to write an email sequence, I think about the following things. I actually put everything in one document. I have a separate video on how I write the email sequences. So I collect the following things. I collect all the testimonials that I got from customers that were really written by customers, not written by your company and then approved by the customer. Why? Because we want to know what's standing out for your customers, and secondly, this is the language your audience is using. Secondly, case studies that you have, because there you have already some things that you can leverage for your follow-ups, or just because you can share the case studies as follow-ups linking to the case study. The third one would be any marketing materials that you have put together. So if you have really nice articles that are ranking well, any presentations that you have put together, if you have a calculator on your website or anything like that, put everything together in one document, just with links or maybe with snippets, and then you can leverage all these things for your follow-up. So basically you can say, in your first email, you're sharing how you helped company ABC, and your second follow-up, first follow-up, you're sending a video explaining how you did it. In your third follow-up, you say, if you want, I can do a quick consultation for you, or maybe a quick review of your case. And then if you have a calculator that does the job, or maybe you have anything else on your website, or you need to do it manually, feel free to leverage that in your follow-ups. You can also just follow up with a testimonial, basically saying like, here is what our customers are saying about us, because that shows some social proof to the prospect. And then what I also recommend when you send the last follow-up, which is usually some kind of a breakup email saying like, maybe it's not the right point, maybe it's not the right time to talk, or what you could do is say something like, maybe you're not the right person to talk to, who would be the right person, or anything like that. In this last email, I like to include a quick company deck and a PDF attached to the email, or even better, as a link, so that the prospect can look it up whenever they think of you, or when they have the need. They will be able to look up the emails that you have sent before, and there will be this company deck that they can refer to. A few more things you should consider when writing your email sequence and thinking about the number of follow-ups you're sending. First of all, you should understand that if you have an email limit, for example, I stick with 100 emails per day. So my sending tool is sending only 100 emails per day, and I recommend everyone not to cross that line. You need to understand that it means 100 emails, not 100 prospects. And if I have a sequence which has one initial email and 4 follow-ups, that sums up to 5 emails. That means if I put everything together in one day, like theoretically, I would contact not 100 prospects, I would contact 20 prospects, because every prospect will get 5 emails. Well, not every, because you will get responses, someone will unsubscribe, someone will bounce, but in general, I'd like to calculate that ahead of time to understand how it limits my volume. If you have huge lists and you want to contact as many prospects as possible in a shorter period of time, then obviously stick with less follow-ups. Stick with 2 follow-ups. If you have a small list and you know it's okay, the follow-ups are stretched over time, do as many as you can. That's it. If you still have some questions about email follow-ups, feel free to drop me an email. It is in the description box and I'll be happy to help you. See you soon. Bye bye.